All right, internet, how you gonna be? Huh? How you gonna be? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, internet. I know there's a lull. I get it. Come on. What are you gonna Rockfin, where are you? YouTube is awake. Yeah, we got ourselves a little wakey uh an awake YouTube. You can tell I've been off for a minute. I'm just kind of like, there we all right, and Rockfin's awake. Boom, we got it. What's up, everybody? Good morning to all my West Coasters. Good afternoon to all my East Coasters. Good evening if you're in an evening time zone. Hope everybody had a lovely weekend. Hope all is well. And shout out to everyone who makes the show possible. Our friends over at Indie Left. Indie Left is the only place to find all the content creators and streamers you know and love. They curate a list for you that they update twice a day. They just kind of make it a nice, easy one-stop shop to get your content. So to find out everything they got going on, to subscribe to their Discord community, check them out at independentleft.media. All right, without further ado, we have my New York City source, the person who is on the beat in New York City. Now, usually she tunes in on the last Monday of every month, but she had a conflict this month. So she's tuning in today instead. But please welcome back the host of Biting Commentary, which is a lovely show that I got to do, Lauren Ashcraft. What's up, Lauren?
It's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How is everything?
Well, it's good to be back in our home state of Pennsylvania. I am being riddled with allergies because I'm not used to plants, but it's
Mm.
it's very good to be back, and I'm getting some off the grid time. So I know a lot of my fellow New Yorkers could probably use that as well. So I hope you get it.
I can, yeah. I mean, I'm on the other coast, but yeah, I totally get it. I feel yeah, and that's pretty nice. Well, thank you for breaking some off the grid time for coming on today. I appreciate it.
No,
Um,
I'm happy to be here.
so let's talk New York City elections. Let's kind of unpack all that. I know that they're tallying the results as we speak, as of the recording of this. Chances are, by the time the podcast drops, there's going to be more information than we even know now. But um, but give me a summary of everything that kind of went on from your end.
Oh my gosh. Well, the mayoral race was one of the most dramatic races, I think, in modern history, to be completely honest. And I got really involved in supporting kind of the grassroots candidate, Diane Morales. But then there was kind of a mutiny on that team, and I still haven't really put the story together. So that didn't really pan out. And we were really
Well,
left with.
what kind of details can you go into there? Like what? Because I heard. And again, this is like stuff I'm hearing secondhand. Like apparently there was a unionization effort that was
Mhm.
shot. Is that what happened? So what happened there?
Yeah, so this is all like through the grapevine, so super large disclaimer that I might not have all the details correct. But basically, from my understanding, there were some mismanagement steps made, and some people quit initially, and then the people who were left behind tried to unionize, and slowly but surely, most of those people ended up getting fired. So it was really not an ideal situation. Um, I'm sure that there's three sides to the story, but from the outside looking in, it was really hard to stand by an effort to, um, union bust or whatever. So I
Sure.
just kind of stepped back from that whole ordeal. And Art Chang was actually a friend of mine. He was another upstart candidate. So I ended up ranking him first. Maya Wiley, who received kind of the last minute endorsements of the rest of the progressives, including AOC, she was my second. And it looks like she's coming in third. So basically, at the end of the day, Andrew Yang conceded. He I think he ended up with like 12% of the vote. And then he basically knew that he didn't have a chance to actually win. So at the end of the day, it's between Eric Adams, who's a literal cop, former cop, and Catherine Garcia, who was the head of the Department of Sanitation. Um, but neither of them's really great. I would just rather, at this point, Catherine Garcia over a literal NYPD officer.
I think that's a fair assessment to have as far as like who you want in your mayor. I mean, I have a story actually over the weekend that I think kind of plays in here. So I live in the San Pedro neighborhood of Los Angeles, and our representative, our city council member, is a literal cop who is going to run for mayor. He's going to run for mayor, and I think he would actually. It'd be hard to be worse than our current mayor, Eric Garcetti. He is the worst of the worst in every way, but I think this guy could potentially be even worse. And in Pedro over the weekend, I went to our local beach, with some friends for the 4th, and it was like something out of a dystopian movie. I mean, keep in mind, this is a neighborhood beach. It's not some big touristy area or anything like that. It's just a chill, live and let live place. And it was swarming with cops. They were checking your bags. And there was like dozens of them. At one point, they were driving their four-wheelers around just to intimidate people. At one point, I counted it, an LAPD helicopter made 3 circles. This is in the supposed progressive utopia of California. 3 circles for no reason.
Yep.
These are just people on the beach. No reason. Meanwhile, there was one city official. I don't even know. The guy might have been a volunteer for all I know. I don't know. But there was one dude passing out garbage bags, going, hey, encouraging people to clean up after themselves, which is good. That was great. He was passing out garbage bags. He was, either a city employee or a volunteer. I'm not even sure which. One dude doing that, swarms of cops. The next day, I went to pick up some litter. I'll occasionally do that. Just go to the neighborhood beach, pick up some litter. And it was trash. It was completely trash. Meanwhile, there were all these cops there all day, just intimidating people. Heaven forbid they actually pick up litter or do something constructive. They were just there intimidating people, driving their four-wheelers around, making circles on helicopters, for crying out loud. And it's just so ironic. I mean, if somebody from a different country just would have been hanging out there watching this, and they would have been like, so you guys are celebrating your freedom. That's what you're doing? Okay. This is an interesting sight to behold. This is interesting. I mean, it was straight up the amount of cops that were there. And I get it. You have to, you want to make sure people aren't going to try to shoot off fireworks in an area like that because it's very dangerous. I get that. But the amount of cops they had, excessive doesn't do it justice. Obscene is the only word I can think of for what that was. It was obscene, the amount of cops that they had. And it was embarrassing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in New York City, same. It's just cops standing around, not wearing masks, causing a ruckus, hurting people. And meanwhile, I've had some incidents, like I literally have been attacked on the street once in my life, and there was a cop standing there, and I was like, hello. And they just were not interested in helping out. So I I really don't understand, like, all these people that are like, oh, crime's gonna go up if we cut some cops. It's like, have they really helped you? Have they really helped you?
Yeah.
Because the one time I needed them, they were not there.
Well, I think it was Awkward said it on this show, the guy who I met Awkward through your show. And then
Yeah.
he came on and did mine. And, he said like they solve about 2% of crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that, and they show up after. But I guess my point is, and my point for bringing that up is when you have an actual straight up cop in a position like that, because I don't know like how they decided how many LAPD were going to be at my neighborhood beach, but I can't help but feel like the fact that our rep is a cop has something to do with the atrocious amount that they had there. I mean, it was I've never seen anything like it. Not just in Los Angeles, but in my lifetime. I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen anything like it. I've seen that amount of police at a protest or something like that because, that's where they really want to crack heads. But I've never, just at a beach on a holiday, I've never seen anything like it. It was, it was chilling. I mean, it was chilling.
I think
And it was,
Oh, I was just gonna say it's kind of scary and upsetting that in 2021, after everything that we've seen in the last years, and we're really kind of being confronted with, do we want to move forward with allowing ourselves to be a police state and basically paying for police violence against communities of color? I think what's upsetting to me is we keep not doing anything about it, and it's really scary to me that New York City is so close to having a mayor who literally is a New York Police Department officer formerly.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely terrifying. So, one of the things I wanted to bring up with you, there are some ranked choice voting naysayers who are kind of using the time that it's taken as a reason to kind of shit on ranked choice voting. What is your response to that?
Ranked choice voting, I think, is incredible. For me, even though I wasn't excited to put 5 names down for mayor, that means that I got to have my vote expanded to 5 people. And that means I had more of a say than usual. I think that's really cool. And anything to expand the vote and to increase the amount of power that everyday people have, I'm so for that. I think the one complaint I have is that I mean, I did work um, on a campaign, a city council campaign, and at the polling location, I mean, 100 feet away from it, there were people that were like, "What is this ranked choice voting? I have no idea what this is." And I walked through how they need to rank 5 people. Um, and that was really the first time that they had heard of what to do with it. So I don't know exactly, maybe more resources need to be dedicated towards education at the city level, but that does not mean that we should stop using it. I think it is a great opportunity to keep expanding the vote. And also, I will say, some of the naysayers say like, oh, these communities of color won't be able to understand ranked choice voting. And I'm like,
How
do you hear what
condescending
you're
is that?
saying? Like, are you
How
actually
condescending.
saying that communities of, yeah, like, are you
That is so
saying that,
horrible.
right, exactly. So I would really, I would turn that back on the person saying that and really invite them to answer why they think that communities of color can't understand how to rank 5 people, and maybe dedicate your time on making sure that everyone does understand that they have 5 choices, instead of trying to shit on a really valuable system. Thank you so much.
No, I agree with you 110%. I mean, I thought it was so. I mean, first of all, well, look at how complicated it is. Maybe ranked choice voting, like, hey, go through the list of general elections that we've had from 2000 to present and tell me how simple all of them were. Please. Tell me how simple all of those were, first of all. Second of all, ranked choice voting is not complicated. You rank your preferences. We do that in life all the time. And third
Hmm.
of all, yeah, of course, anything new is going to have some growing pains. That is life. And I'm sure there are general people who maybe, don't have their ear to the ground on things all the time. And this is something new to them, sure. But to use that to try to discount a voting method that is way better than the one we currently have is very, you know, just straight up non-democratic and I think incredibly at best lazy and at worst deceptive
Yep,
because if you really think it's some complicated thing, that's just lazy. It's not that complicated. And if you know better and you're just spreading that
exactly.
bullshit anyway, you're doing it because you don't want things to change, because not having ranked choice voting helps out the duopoly. So if you're going to the mat against ranked choice voting for that reason, you're being deceptive.
Exactly, and it's like, "Can you count to 5? Okay, cool, you can rank choice vote. Sounds good."
Well, it's like, what do you think? We make those choices all the time in life. Like, what do you think? People go into a restaurant and they're just like, "There's more than one thing I could eat on this menu. I don't know what to do. We have to go home. Let's leave. There's not just one thing I want. How could I possibly list my preferences? I can't do that." People list their preferences
Exactly,
all the time. That's how life works. That's called being a
exactly.
grown up.
And I will say, like, a lot of these grassroots campaigns that I was supporting this past election, like in District 33, which is North Brooklyn, all the female candidates came together and did a ranked choice voting training. So I thought that was really cool. And I think it invites some camaraderie, partnership, and maybe encourages some strategy because candidates can think about, hey, do you want to partner with somebody else and tell people to rank them number two and see how that turns out? We actually saw that Catherine Garcia teaming up with Andrew Yang turned out to benefit her, which it did him. So, you know, it's interesting.
So I guess here's one thing I am foggy on. When somebody concedes, how does that affect them tallying the ranked choice votes?
That's a good
Like
question. I actually,
is it
yeah, I don't,
still tallied the same way? Because there's other, like people who have ranked Andrew Yang first, does it just automatically go to their second choice? But then how is it determined like who's last and stuff like that? Because it's like they eliminate people based on who's last. So if he concedes, does that just automatically put
yeah.
him last, or how does that work?
That's a good question. I have to go back and look at they have like the whole ranked choice vote by round. I
Mhm.
wonder if his concession meant that he was eliminated in the first round. Um and that's it's possible. I'm not quite sure because they eliminated multiple candidates per round in some cases, like batch elimination. So I have to see where he was eliminated. And I guess whenever you're eliminated, your votes are kind of redistributed.
Okay. All right. So that's how, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's like a process and it's totally fine. I just, off the top of my head, I don't know what that is exactly. But
Right.
I really appreciate the alliance thing that you brought up because, again, I can kind of point to, so in my community, the cop is going to run for mayor. And which means that district
Yep.
is, like that district's open now. And right now there are two progressives or lefties, whatever you want to call them. There's two running. Both of them have been on this show. Both of them I think are great candidates. And if we had ranked choice voting, like it's two lefties and then one big business guy who has, more resources than both of them combined and multiplied. Um, so it's basically
Yep.
the three of them right now. And I don't know who else is going to jump in. I'd imagine more people will. I believe the election's not until next June. But it's interesting to me because if we had ranked choice voting, the two of them could kind of form a slate of sorts. Whereas instead,
Yeah.
I mean, they are cooperating some, but the way it's working is they're basically just saying like, okay, if one of us really starts to, get some steam and get some support, the other should step down. And as of right now, neither one of them has stepped down. I mean, it's still pretty early. It's tough to say, um, one of them is eventually going to have to, I think. And it's too bad they can't kind of form a slate. And if we had something like ranked choice voting, they could. I mean, not a literal slate, but
Yeah,
you know
I
what I mean.
think what totally. And I think a lot of like the way that ranked choice voting really comes in handy is at the end of the day, like if we looked at who had the majority of people's round one, it would have easily been Eric Adams. But when people like me and a lot of the progressives in New York decided that is the one person that I would like to stop in this election, then you rank everybody else who has a chance. So my ballot was purely pragmatic. And that's why I did not rank Diane Morales in the end. And I ended up including Andrew Yang.
Oh, so
He can,
you didn't even rank her at all.
yeah, yeah, I really
Really?
yeeted. Yeah, I know. I know.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not, it
That
was,
is, man, what a rough election season.
yep,
You went from
yeah,
I'm helping out this person to they didn't even make the five. That's like it's like an NCAA basketball tournament gone crazy.
I know. I think that's what we're all just like really over the mayoral election here.
Sure, I can
And
imagine.
yeah, but I think like I ranked everybody who I thought plus Art Chang, who I don't think had He was my reach candidate. I allowed myself a reach candidate, and the rest of the people, I was like, you know what? These people have a chance to stop Eric Adams. And if Catherine Garcia squeaks through this election and becomes the mayor, like that's where ranked choice voting came in handy. So the people who are upset about ranked choice voting are probably the people who wished we had a cop.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, hopefully it prevents the cop from getting in. But yeah, I can only imagine how exhausting the whole thing was. Cause like even as someone, I don't live in New York City, so I'm not familiar with all the candidates, or even most of them, to be honest. But when Andrew Yang initially announced, I read some of his recovery plans, and they were actually decent plans. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a good recovery plan. And I tweeted something like that, thinking like, I'm sure I won't regret this later. And then after that, he was just like, I love cops. Cops, I love them. More of them. Get a lot more. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh boy, I'm glad. Geesh, I'm really glad I tweeted that other thing out. That
Yeah.
aged gracefully. That was.
Oh my gosh, no.
I
And
mean, I
that's
made fun of myself for it, but it's
yeah.
just, so. I guess I can only imagine how exhausting the whole thing was as things continued to unfold and get crazier and crazier.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I've had those same moments with Yang because every once in a while he'd say something really, really good. And then he would say stuff like, "Oh, it's like the mentally ill people that blah 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 blah." And I would be like, "Why? Why don't you just think a little bit before you talk into a microphone, my friend?"
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like he's always been that way because he's kind of out of the box politically. Like you can't really, say he is this or that. Like he's kind of just like all over the place with different ideas. And some of his ideas are incredibly interesting. And
Mhm.
some of them I think are really good. But then some of them are cringe-worthingly terrible, where you're like, oh boy. And then he'll say certain things and you're also, oh boy. And it's I mean, I guess it makes him an interesting candidate and an interesting personality too, but sometimes like you're just kind of like, well, where it's something like ranked choice voting, I can imagine sometimes it's just like, well, where do I put this person? Because there's certain ideas that they have that I think could really help this community. There's others that I think are absolutely awful that would really hurt this community. And some of the things he said that really make me not want to, list this person at all. So it's was he 5th for you or where was he?
Yeah, he was
Oh,
number
he
5.
number 5, huh? He made your high fidelity list. He made your top 5. He made the
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah,
that
and it really
reference or
was
no?
I did see High Fidelity, the movie.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that what it
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all it
he
is. He was like everything was top 5 with Rob, the main character. I've read the book too, but the movie
that's
is also
awesome.
great. And yeah, but yeah, top 5. One
Aw,
time I was Rob from High Fidelity for Halloween where I
that's
just dressed.
hilarious.
It was the laziest costume ever. I just dressed how I normally dress, and I wore, like, this pleather jacket because that's, like, the jacket he wore or a similar jacket that he wore in the movie, and then I just held up this sign that said, "What are your top 5 favorite records?" And, that was my costume. It was it was a really lazy costume, but,
Hey, lazy works. Did people get it?
some people did. I got a couple compliments, and mostly I got, "What are you supposed to be?" And I was like, read the sign." And they would read it. And they go, "Well, I just read the sign. Still don't know what you're supposed to be." And then I said, have you seen High Fidelity? No. Okay. And that'd be it. So, so that
That's
was my,
awesome.
I used to take, and we don't really need to do Halloween talk right now, but I used to take Halloween very, very seriously. And I don't as much anymore. And it kind of hurts my heart a little bit.
Hey,
Like
there's
I
always
feel like
this Halloween coming up.
I don't even know if I'm gonna do anything. I think I might actually be coming from tour on Halloween, actually. I think
Exciting.
tour is ending on Halloween.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, so I mean, I guess I'm not really gonna do anything. Like, I don't know, what would I do? It's just
You-
like tour is ending. Okay. And so that's my Halloween. That's all I
oh
got.
yeah. You can be Ron Pacone after tour ended as a Halloween
I
costume.
am a post-tour Ron Placone. I am What are you for Halloween? I am jet lag. I am just
Yes.
a costume of jet lag. Well, so getting back to the elections, is there anything like any agenda, like any like agenda items or anything like that that you're happy about? Any kind of platform things that went through, or bills, or city council? Like, are there anything in the W column that I might not be aware of as somebody who lives many miles away?
Something that's really exciting to me is I know that for the first time, we're actually going to have a majority of women in city council. And I know that sounds very identity politics, but my God, it's New York City. Like, how have we been allowed to get this far to be dictated by a bunch of conservative dudes? So
Sure.
that's
Are
changed. They've been. Mhm.
are any of them like? Are you excited about any of the candidates?
Um, Let me think through. I mean, definitely, we have a bunch of candidates that are like really no police, like abolition, defund type of people going in. Um,
That
I'm,
that got in.
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
um,
Okay, that's a
yeah,
win.
and yeah, totally, it is a win. Um, I know. I mean, there's a lot of people who've been really involved, organizing on the ground for mutual aid, have been really strong for supports for immigrant families. So I think we've got a good bunch of people headed into Congress, and I'm really excited about it.
You mean city
My the
council, right?
Oh
City
yeah,
council.
Congress.
Yeah.
Not nobody's running for Congress, not even me. But yeah. Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, wait a second, you might have jumped way ahead of me here. I
Oh
might
yeah,
have missed something. I
they're all they're all headed to Congress.
They're
Wait,
all
but who's
headed to
gonna take care?
Congress.
Who's gonna be in city council? None of
Wouldn't that be
them.
trippy if they wouldn't that be trippy if that was a thing where it's like you run for one thing and for some reason they're just like, we're not gonna give you this, but we got this other seat for you. And you're like, wait, what? And it's like some federal thing. That'd be trippy.
You're accidentally the president. Wait, what?
I do
I don't
think I do think in a perfect world, I really do think we should just draft our president.
I
I think we should have a people's legislature and then just draft our president once every 4 years, and it's a really shitty job that nobody wants. It's like
I
jury duty for 4 years. The only
I
perk
don't
is you
hate
get to
it.
travel. That's like
I
the only
think it's
perk.
great. I mean, in many cases, I can't imagine like a rando would have been much worse than the last
Right.
the last round of presidents. So,
I mean, hey,
um,
every president in our lifetimes. I mean, how could
yeah,
a random person? I mean, especially like if you don't want the job, that makes you more qualified than anyone who's ever had it. If you're like, I don't want to be
yeah.
president, good. That means you probably won't be terrible. That
I
means
just,
you have a good moral compass. You don't want to be president. You don't want that job where being a war criminal is a job requirement. That's pretty good. Maybe you'll take it in a better direction then.
I love it. I just love, I'm thinking about like what the news would look like the day after the election. And it's like, oh yeah, like Tammy Smith from Louisville, Kentucky, who's worked in the shoe factory is our new president. And she's like, what the fuck? She has to like move to Washington, D.C. and she's like, all right. And her entire platform is like everyone gets a kitten. And I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah. Well,
Sounds better than a lot of.
think about like the UN meetings and stuff. Like they'd be like, all right, Georgia from Georgia. How did that happen? Anyway, you're the US person. What do you think? And she says, I just miss being a carpenter. All right. Well, you're not blowing up the planet anymore. So we're glad your country went this route. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
I do think that, and in memory of Mike Gravel, rest in power, Mike Gravel, I do think I would love to see his vision come to reality. We have a people's legislature, and drafting the president wasn't necessarily part of his book, but I think that's a cool additional part. People's
Oh
legislature,
yeah.
president, we draft them. They just sign papers. It's terrible job. They'll really hate it. It'll be like they'll be like, this is the worst 4 years ever. But you did your duty. Sorry. That's just the only particular I would have. I feel like because if an idea ever came to fruition and if I helped frame such an idea, I don't want to be drafted. That's my only rule. I'd be like, well, since I helped think of it, I'm off the list. I'm exempt.
I love it. If I got drafted into this position, I would just be like, guys, we're gonna meditate every day. I'm gonna hand out kittens to everyone, and weed and psychedelics are totally legalized. Have fun.
Yes. Yes. That would be the way to be. That would totally be the way to be. Um, so I guess in closing, is there anything regarding the elections and what we know right now that you want to highlight? Anything that I missed?
I think that's the main part of it. I'm holding my breath about the mayoral race. And the thing is, I mean, not to be like a Debbie Downer, but Catherine Garcia is not a visionary candidate. She's been, the head of the Department of Sanitation and is not boldly calling to defund the police or abolish them. But she's not a cop. So like
Mm,
any other election out there, I feel like the last two people standing are usually mediocre at best. And that's
sure.
really where we are. So if anyone's listening, I would just encourage people to, if you have a really great friend who's been really involved in the community and is always there for their neighbors, like maybe start talking to them about running for office someday. We need more regular working class people that have just put in the legwork to run for office rather than these whatever these people are that just aspire to be mayor and then president. And that's just, I mean, I've run for Congress myself and I have no drive to run for Congress ever again because it really sucked the soul out of me. And it makes me wonder about these people that just keep running over and over for higher and higher office. So, anyway, we need more regular people. I love the idea of drafting presidents, but until then, if you have a really inspiring friend and you're willing to put in the legwork in their campaign as their treasurer or first volunteer campaign manager, talk to them about it. And that's really where I'd like to leave people today.
Yeah, well, I think like local too is I mean that's where it's at. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not corruption in local politics. Of course there is, but it is, in my opinion, more transparent and better. And a lot of the
Hmm.
corruption in local politics is because people know the power that they have. So it's real estate developers and cops and people like that. So it's people who want to exploit their community instead of people who want to help grow their community. And we need more people who want to help grow their community. And
Yes,
you can. There's a lot you can do. There is a lot you can accomplish with local office, even that has a national effect. So I hear you.
absolutely.
I hear
Yeah,
you.
check out, find out who your city council person is. If you don't know, then look them up. Who's on your school board? Who runs your county politics? Look all those offices up and get involved. If you don't like the way that they're representing you, or if they're just not really doing anything, then write to them and think about maybe challenging them.
Totally. Do you want to stick around for the chat or do you have to go?
Oh no, I'm here. I'm free.
Oh, cool. All right. So here's a fun Rockfin tip. And this will be a fun kind of topical 4th of July convo. First of all, thank you, MHC. Thank you very much for the Rockfin tip. You help keep the show in the air. And here's what you say. Here in San Jose, California, July 4th meant illegal fireworks on and off from around 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. the next morning. Yeah, same here. I think this issue needs more enforcement, but that doesn't mean enforcement has to look like a brutal crackdown by police as we know them today. I hear you. I'm not sure what the right answer is. Maybe unarmed local officials with authority given by their communities? Question mark. Um, I'm curious to hear what you think. So, I do hear you there, and again, when I was talking about my community, it was beyond excessive. I mean, the amount of cops that were there was just totally obscene. But I do see the need to have some security there to make sure people aren't bringing in fireworks or something like that. I think a better approach would be community members. Just kind of local community members as kind of like a like a community presence, so to speak. When I lived in Seattle, they had that for there's this big bike ride that happens on the solstice in the Fremont neighborhood, which is the neighborhood I lived in. I'd imagine it still goes on. But that's what they had there. They didn't really have any actual police. They just had community members kind of keep an eye on things and make sure no one's doing something destructive. And it worked. It worked for years and years and years. I think something like that would be pretty cool. As far as fireworks, and Lauren, I want your take on this too. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. I'm sorry though. I think it's time for a new pastime. I mean, look, fireworks are bad for the environment. They trigger PTSD in people. They scare the shit out of pets. And guess what? If the light show is that exciting to you, I don't think it's that big of a deal personally. But if you love it that much, they have these kind of light drones that you can have now. That's not an environmental hazard where nobody gets hurt, where it doesn't scare the shit out of your pets. It doesn't trigger PTSD. It's time to do that. Or just, hey, enjoy each other's company. I'd rather be on a hill with a bunch of people and their dogs are around because they're not scared instead of seeing some fireworks show. That's just me. But so I think it's time to move on from fireworks as a pastime. What do you think, Lauren?
I love the idea of light shows. And I mean, we're a week after we dropped a 40,000-pound bomb into the ocean, about 100 miles off the coast of Florida, just to see what happened, to test it. So I just feel like as a culture, we have this strange obsession with blowing stuff up. And like maybe we should collectively get some therapy about that, and let's not destroy the earth and like put people in you know, traumatic situations. I also, as you know, have to rescue cats. Thankfully they're not too scared of the noises, but I do have like strong relationships with a lot of animal rescues, and it's a very bad time. 4th of July is
Yeah.
a very bad time for animals. So
Yeah, I mean, it breaks your heart. It's like they're scared. I mean, my neighbor, he had to leave town. He was like, I have to leave town because my dog gets so scared.
yeah.
And because I was like, hey, you should come down to the beach with us. He's like, my dog, like I have to go somewhere more remote, like for the holiday, because my dog gets so scared. And yeah, it doesn't bother Lucy too much, but she'll kind of get startled a bit, and then like as long as we're around, she's like okay. But she was kind of on edge, and I think that was why. So yeah, and all these people who have like really strong feelings about it, are you really that attached to these things? Like you probably watch like what, one or two fireworks shows a year? Would it really be that like
Yeah.
detrimental to you if it was in a different form that doesn't cause explosions and doesn't like pollute a bunch? Like, what do you
Yep.
really? Is it really that big of a deal? Like really, you're gonna notice that much? It's gonna be that they're like, no, we care about this so much. All of a sudden, this means everything. This is a bit. You're telling me I can't blow shit up? I need to blow shit up. How else will I come? It's like, dude, come on, get over it. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like,
Can't we like synthesize or like project? I like the idea of your light show. I think that's great. I just think we have this weird, we should really we should really look at that. Like why do
yeah,
we need to, and I find whenever I'm there watching like fireworks, like like our neighbor had some in the driveway out here, and I'm just like, this is really underwhelming. Like it's 5 minutes of like pew pew, and that's about it. It's really not.
well, I guess
I have a lot of questions.
allegedly too, you can actually have silent ones. Because I saw this
Oh.
meme, and it is just a meme, so I don't want to be like, but apparently there's a town in Italy where they made it a law that all the fireworks need to be silent, and
Hmm.
people follow that law. So I guess there is a way you can get silent ones. I've never heard of such a thing, no pun intended, but apparently that is a thing. Uh, MHC also says on the drafting the president thing, in a way, I think one of the worst parts about being drafted as US president would be the media attention. Oh, yeah. I would spend the 4 years
Mm.
hiding. But more seriously, I think it might be better to have the draft every year rather than every 4 years to keep anyone from getting entrenched in office. Yeah, I could see that. 4 years, that's a pretty hefty sentence. Maybe once a year we just got to draft somebody and just got to put your year in. And some people will have easier years than others. Some people will really. I mean, imagine if we were doing that and the pandemic happened. Person who's, geez, I was actually excited when I got picked. I thought it'd be interesting to be in DC for a year, and then this happened. Shit.
Yeah, that's actually I like that person. Yeah, I think that's really valid, and I mean, maybe everyone would think about if that was like a cultural thing that we did, maybe everyone would think about like, oh, okay, like day one, I would do this. Like if I ever like unfortunately won the lottery and I'd be like, yeah, no more wars, no more money to police forces. We're putting a whole lot more money towards the environment and everyone enjoy your shrooms. Bye.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and the thing too, if we had a people's legislature, like there, we would never go to war unless the majority of the country was for it. So, I mean, it would
Mhm.
end preemptive war. It would end like, I mean, it would basically end all that. And I would like
Yeah.
to think we would do something about things like the AUMF and stuff like that, so that the president can't just decide like I'm gonna nuke things. Like I'd like to think we would just put a stop to all that too. So it's it's a dream. It's a dream.
Yeah. We just keep talking about it. I think we'll keep putting it in people's heads. I don't hate it.
Well, it's I mean, it's a change that there's a good chance we'll never see in our lifetimes, but it's not impossible. And, the other option is just not trying. And if you really want true systemic change, which I think we need in this country,
Yeah.
why not shoot for the stars and see where you land? I mean, yeah, maybe we won't see a people's legislature in either one of our lifetimes, but maybe we will see a much more a better electoral system, better than what we have now, which I think that's not impossible. Because I mean, I actually think building a worse one would be harder. I think it'd
Oh
be
my
hard to figure
gosh.
out a worse one. I mean, it wouldn't be impossible. We could do even worse, but it'd be freaking hard.
So I like half of my family is Japanese and very Buddhist. And so reincarnation is a topic of conversation sometimes. And I always think about like hypothetically, if there is a chance that we come back to this place, I always think about like all these people like CEOs of like fossil fuel companies and like the banks and all these people being like, oh fuck. Like, if they have to come 200 years from now and reap the consequences, that brings me a little bit of comfort.
Jeff Bezos comes back as like an ant or something. Like,
Yes,
this is a drag.
yes, exactly. Yeah, he'll have to be like a
Do you
warehouse
believe in
worker.
reincarnation?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't think I have any answers about my existence. So I'm just kind of going with the flow.
No, me neither. I mean, I'm a skeptic. I don't have any beliefs really. I mean, I don't know what happens when we die. I'd like to think something. I don't think I believe in like the man-made ideas of like heaven or hell. Like, I don't know if I don't think that's a thing, but but yeah, I'd like to think something happens when we leave this
Yeah,
realm. I don't know what it is, but I think something happens. I think we just kind of cease being, and we're just
me
sort of
too.
not really there, but not really gone. And that's why I'm not a big fan of sleep. I feel like I'm gonna have plenty of time to do that when I'm dead. So I don't like doing it that much now. I do it when
Yeah.
I have to, but I don't know. That's pretty much
You're
that's the gist of it. But but yeah,
you're
I
not wrong.
you know, sometimes I wish I
I wish
had.
you a very long life with little sleep.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, no, I mean, and I'm not suggesting, don't, make it to the point where it's unhealthy. Like I get the amount that I need. Like I don't like I get what I need. but I don't overdo it. And I certainly don't do it for fun. I do it, like my body's like, you got to shut down now. And I'm like, all right, buddy. And then I'm like, you can wake up. And the cat's like, I'm ready. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. Like I'm not one of these people where I'm like, did I get enough rest? Like, God, my body feels fine. I'm fine. End of story. But
Right? I'm functioning.
but sometimes I wish I had. I wish I had more of a I don't want to say like I wish I was religious, but like I wish I was. I wish I had more of a belief system when it came to what happens next or what's out there beyond us. But I don't. I mean, I guess I
Mm.
would definitionally be an agnostic technically. Or depending on how depending on how you defined an atheist, I could be considered an atheist too, because if you just define an atheist as a theist without a god, like you don't acknowledge a god, then I'm an atheist because I don't acknowledge any theist. Um, but I'm also like, well, I don't know. I mean, something might be out there, but I don't know. Sometimes I wish I had, some kind of belief system that was like, well, I think this happens next, but I don't know what happens next.
Yeah. When I'm meditating, I feel very connected to like the universe. So I've kind of looked into universalism, which seems kind of chill and like, not a group of people that would start a war. So, more like, start a hippie commune and paint each other type of vibes that I'm getting from my meditation circle. So I'm kind of digging that recently.
Yeah. I wish I could meditate. I mean, how often do you meditate?
Every Tuesday at 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern,
What
if you ever want to join.
you put in 2 hours? I don't think I
Yeah.
could. I wish I could. I've tried to like legit meditate and I couldn't do it every time. I just couldn't do it. My mind wanders and then I'm like, I should go make coffee. Like I
Oh,
can't
I
do it.
use I do like a circle with HemiSync technology. So it's like these sounds that are engineered to put you into a deeper state. So anyway, we can talk about it offline, but if you ever want to explore the idea, talk to me.
I will. And one last tip here from MHC. Thank you so much for your generosity today, MHC. I appreciate it so much. You'd say, I'd hate to provide any ideas for creating a worse system of government, but we could always start the Hunger Games, right? Don't give people any ideas. Isn't it weird when you see people like, I can't think of the for instance, but there was somebody, who was it? There was someone either in government, or maybe it was Megan McCain, but they like legit dressed like the Hunger Games. They, like, legit like, they were dressed like
Oh,
something out of the Hunger Games. And I think it was, like,
yes.
shortly after Biden won even, and it was just like, "Oh, no one kinda reined them in on this choice." I mean, this sort of we are kinda entering dystopian times, and they're not even trying to sugarcoat it.
Right.
I forget who that was, but yeah, it was
I
like
think
they
it was
legit
Lady
looked.
Gaga.
Yes! Yes!
Yeah.
She looked like something out of the Hunger Games. And
Yeah.
it
It
was
was
like,
it
why
was
did she do that on purpose to express commentary? In which case, that's interesting. But
yeah.
but I don't
She
I don't
might
I don't
have.
think she did.
I don't
Maybe,
know. I
I don't
mean,
know.
sh- she's also just like a genius at marketing. So like here we are 7 months after talking about it.
And
So
and we're talking about it. We're talking about it. Yeah. I mean, I forgot that was who it was, but yeah, she had this like Hunger Games-esque wardrobe. And
yep.
it's like, really, with everything we're going through, with everything this country is going through right now, you're just gonna all right. But well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, MHC, for the Rockfin tips. It is very, very much appreciated. You help keep this show on the air. And thank you everybody for tuning in today. It is good to be back. And Lauren, where can everyone go to find you?
Definitely check out my show Biting Commentary on YouTube, and you can follow me at Vote Ashcraft on Twitter.
All right. And I'll see you the last Monday of the month. And and also, folks, tour dates. Tickets are available now for a bunch of cities. Go to romplicone.com. Tickets are available for Detroit, Cleveland. Pittsburgh is on sale today. That link will be up at my website later today. New York City, and Lauren's going to be opening some of those shows. She's going to be with us in New York City, and she might be with us for some other East Coast dates as well. So keep your eyes and ears open there. Tickets are available for DC, Asheville, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Gainesville, Orlando, Tampa, and more tickets are coming. Indianapolis, Louisville, Minneapolis, Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin. And we got some more dates to announce. A few more dates are trickling in, so keep an eye out. San Francisco, Sacramento, you're going to be on sale this week. So romplacone.com for those tickets. And Lauren will be joining some of those shows. So in the meantime, you know the drill. Queenie and Ruth, those are Lauren's cats. They say meow, and Lucy says meow, and I say peace, and Lauren says peace. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Peace.